really hope you like this video. Please comment, like, and subscribe to get more content like this. Hi, Tom Mayhew. Welcome to the Need2Know comedy show. How are you? How are you today?
I'm all right. Yeah, I'm as all right as we can be. How are you doing?
I'm good, yeah. I'm just surprised to see my hair. I was telling you a minute ago because I washed it.
You not wash it often?
No, I don't wash it often. I like it greasy. It looks better. So it's got a fluffy flyaway look now. Anyway, where are you now, Tom?
I'm in my. I mean, do you mean in the world or in my
In the
life?
in the world, not what room, but
Okay, I am in a little town called Tring in Hertfordshire.
yeah.
Literally in my parents' house at the moment. That's where I am.
Oh, really? Is that where you grew up?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, cool. So, kind of read something about your biog and things like that, and you mentioned that like you grew up and that there were like financial struggles at home, and that you didn't, like, for example, you didn't go on a school trip.
Mm.
You actually kind of didn't. You said to your parents you didn't want to go, but you were kind of saying that because you thought they couldn't afford to send you on that trip,
Hmm.
and
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
right. And do you think that's kind of influenced how you do comedy as well, or are you? I mean, I don't know if you find that is hard to talk about that kind of stuff, or you don't
No,
mind.
no, no. I'm cool talking about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it has influenced it because it can be quite a big sort of aspect of the industry, like doing, if you want to do festivals, if you want to do tours, like you need money to do them. So for quite a while it kind of did restrict what I felt I was able to do. And even now, like, I've only been able to do stuff in comedy because either I've had people who have like lent me money, like my girlfriend lent me money to do Edinburgh last year,
Hmm.
or if I can do anything in comedy, it's because I've basically sacrificed moving out until I make it in comedy.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting because I think that the cutbacks in social welfare have that kind of knock-on effect in that if you don't have money from family money,
Hmm.
uh, well, then you don't have that luxury of trying to find out what you want to do in life because you're too busy struggling to earn a living.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the reason lots of people, maybe less likely to go to university because in your head you're like, no, I just want to go out, get money, earn a living. That's all I wanted to do. I thought the idea of doing 3 years of education, it kind of made me go, no, you just want to earn money. You just want to see that money in the bank, so you have that safety net. You have that comfort, so you feel safe. You feel like you're not going to suddenly have the rug pulled from between you. So is this supposed to be funny? I'm not too
No,
sure.
no, no. I mean, not at all.
Okay, good. I'm glad. Well, I'm nailing it then. I'm doing great.
No, because I believe that there was the reason there was such an upsurge in adventurous comedy in the 80s is because there was no, you could get really good benefits and you could live on the dole. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah,
Um,
well, I heard a podcast once where I think Lee Mack, I think it was Lee Mack, said that when he started, basically he said he was going to do comedy as like his own business. Then he got a government grant of something like £500 a month, and that enabled him just to start comedy. Which, I mean, £500 a month in the 80s or 90s, that's more than people get on benefits now, even with inflation. So that's kind of ridiculous that that was available then, and it just shows how much has been taken away from people.
yeah, Sean Locke the same. He there was a thing where if you I think that it was like you were starting your own business, but they gave you full benefits for a year or 2 years, and then helped you get on your feet. But you needed to be out of work, so he had to ask his boss to sack him, so he could get on this. But it wasn't just to go straight on the dole and knock about. It was just to start a comedy career.
No, well, it sounds better than being on the dole nowadays, because it sounds like you basically get all the pun not intended, but you get all the benefits of having the money, but you don't have the people hassling you, because you're just like, no, I'm setting up my business. So it sounds far better for people's mental health and frankly, for people's budgeting as well.
Oh, absolutely, totally. I did the same thing. I was on the dole, and then there was a scheme where you got full dole for a year. I think you went down by a third for the second year and down to 1/3 third year, and by the fourth year you're meant to be on your feet. And and that totally got me into comedy, because I knew I didn't have to. I had that security where I could just go to the little clubs for a while, and then eventually I was getting paid enough. So it's an interesting, it is amazing that, because if you're not, probably has changed the type of person that is doing comedy.
Yeah, that's why it's far more likely people who are doing comedy are from, probably slightly better off backgrounds financially, and probably more likely to go to certain esteemed universities than not, because it's just it's a very competitive game, and you need a lot of drive if you want to overcome the financial ramifications, because that's the thing. Like doing comedy, as it is basically the first 2-3 years, whatever, you're basically pouring money down the drain, hoping that it'll eventually come back to you. And it's far harder to do that if, like me, I was working part-time at Sainsbury's, and I was spending 70% of my income was going directly straight on comedy. So I had no savings, I had no money for fun things that I wanted to do, because I was immediately putting it back into comedy. And it makes it far harder, I guess, and far more of a strain on you sort of mentally, when that's what you're doing, and you can't just have the reassurance of, okay, if I lose money for 2 years, my parents can lend me money, because they couldn't. So I was just basically risking all of my money and all of my financial security for something that you're kind of just hoping pays off.
Yeah, and I even find that since the lockdown, because I'm in Ireland, I get a COVID-19 payment. Not doing any gigs, so I'm not driving around the country doing gigs. That I've started doing loads of stuff. I've been writing and shooting loads of sketches and being far more creative than I would be by just driving around the country doing gigs. So I'm a big believer now in the universal payment. I think everybody should get £1,000 a month.
Oh, that'd be amazing. I'd be delighted with that. At the moment, universal credit is it's basically £400 a month. So that would be double what I. But that's the crazy thing, though, because if everyone got £1,000 a month, that's more than you earn working part-time in a supermarket. Frankly, there's people who I knew who worked full-time in the supermarket who'd be on £1,200 a month. It's not. I think people forget how low paid people in these kind of jobs are. They don't really earn anything after tax. After you've paid for your rent, you've got nothing left over, really, because the wage is so low that they're kind of, you're working 40 hours a week and you're taking home something like 13 grand a year, minus tax, minus rent. You're left with nothing. So yeah, £1 a month to help people out would even help those people out.
Yeah, oh yeah, and then the universal payment means you can still work. You just get 1,000, and then you can work and earn on top of that. But I think it would just be amazing, because it would people could be creative. People wouldn't be as stressed out. People wouldn't become homeless. There might be, I don't know if it hasn't been done. So there could probably be negative aspects to it. Maybe landlords would start putting up the rent then.
I'm sure they would immediately do that if they thought they can get away with it.
Yeah.
But I'd love to see it at least tried. I always just think can't we just try it? Can't we just see how it goes for a year and see how people feel? But yeah, I think the chances of that coming through at the moment feel pretty. I think if it doesn't come through now during COVID, then odds are we are never going to get it under this government. So
Well, yeah, I know. I mean, most governments around the world now seem quite right wing, so I mean, there's not much chance of that happening. But hopefully, there'll be a revolution of some sort.
Yeah, fingers crossed. We should get sorted on that once it's safe.
Yeah. So okay, well, let's talk about. So you were working. You were working in Sainsbury's, and then you started. Is that when I know? But you wanted to be into comedy from when you were about 14, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I started doing comedy when I was signing on. Like I'd get like I think it was like £51 a week, and I'd spend like 39 quid traveling to do 3 gigs a week, and like I'd immediately put the benefit money straight back into doing gigs. And then when I got a part-time job at Sainsbury's, that meant I could afford to gig more and to travel further afield, which when you're starting out is very very useful and very important, because there's only so many good gigs you can actually get sort of there. You need to actually go to further places, you need to travel further and get to the better gigs, because otherwise only people on a very small circuit will know you can't really get anywhere.
Yeah, right. And so, like, how long did it take you to say this is it? I'm doing it full time.
I mean, I guess it would have. I guess I always had that. Do you mean financially full time, or do you
Yeah.
mean in terms of financially? Okay,
Well,
probably.
you're not having to supplement.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think the depressing thing was it took until about like September 2019. So it was like about 5 years it took me to sort of get to that full-time stage, and then I had a really really nice 6 months until
And then the COVID thing happened, right?
yeah, I had a lovely 6 months where I was like, awesome, we're comfortable now, we're safe. And then suddenly it was like, oh damn, what's happened, what's gone wrong?
Yeah. Oh, shit. I just think it's really shit for young comedians starting out, because that's when you're just raring to go,
Yeah, well, I mean, it's generally shit for young people generally. Like I feel like people in their 20s now, or I guess people in their mid to late 20s, have kind of lived through two major sort of recessions in their adult life, and it just feels like, God, we've got another one, we've got to do this again. And I just like I'd like it just to be calm and nice, and us to just be able to build something, because there's so many of us who, I'm 28, I live with my parents, and there are people in their 30s who live with their parents, and it's like, okay, when's it going to get good for us? When are we going to get a chance to actually have what previous
Yeah.
generations had?
Yeah, like, fuck. Why isn't that? It's a weird time. It's a weird time. I think social media has screwed things up, because a lot of people are moaning about things that are irrelevant, like
Mm-hmm.
wearing a mask. It's
Yeah.
irrelevant when there should be some kind of a class struggle.
There should be. I mean, that's the thing that really really pissed me off about the last election, when they were sort of going, "Oh, it's the Brexit election," and I was like, "No, what about the like 55% of young people who live with their parents still because they can't afford to move out? Are we gonna talk about them? Are we gonna talk about the crisis in housing and the fact that people can't afford to even rent, never mind own a property? No, that wasn't even the topic. It wasn't even discussed, because they were too busy going, no, we're just going to focus on this one thing that angry people on the right care about. And I mean, it's not going to really make much of a difference to me. I guess it would just mean we're even poorer. But it would have been nice if they discussed, okay, we're going to do something to help young people afford their own places, because that's the thing, that my whole generation are like, yeah, we can't, unless you got rich parents, you can't afford to buy a property. That's the truth of it.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what happened with like the Labour Party. I guess the fact that the Labour Party leader seemed to be pro Brexit as well kind of screwed things up.
Um, I mean, they had a they had a very bad strategy on the last general election. It kind of felt like it was a mistake to try and go for a second referendum when the when the Tories were basically in charge of framing how the election was going to be played. You were kind of sadly going into their hands. You know, it's like you know, if I don't know, I can't think of an analogy or something, but it's, I guess it would be like if you know, if someone was in charge of choosing the best football team in the world, and then you've turned up and gone, no, we're just going to have a random team, and we're gonna have just random players, and you're like, why have you've already got the odds stacked against you, and you've just gone for this ridiculous element you shouldn't have gone for, and I just screwed them over really badly. But they would have won anyway, I don't think, sadly, because it's all about the right wing media and who they want to win historically.
Well, yeah, maybe. I don't know, but I suppose we should talk about comedy.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's talk about something fun.
So your material from day one, what were you talking about issues that were about working class issues, or?
No, I kind of started talking about that in 2017 after I did an Edinburgh show and lost a lot of money and had a bit of a sort of emotional breakdown. That kind of made me go, no, I need to talk about this now, because it's not fair that I'm going to Edinburgh and putting all of my money into it and feeling like I've still not put enough money into it. And that's kind of a really horrible feeling, where it's like I'm at the bottom of my financial barrel and I still feel like I've not got enough. And that was a really horrible feeling, really. So that kind of spurred me on to talk about it. But before then, I was always talking about, like, I guess, like anxiety and depression and being sad. So, I mean, you could claim that is working class culture. Who knows? Maybe we are all like that. Maybe, or at very least, like millennial culture. We're all a bit like that, it seems.
No, I'd say millennial culture, not working class culture.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
But then that's what spurred you on to change what you're going to talk about. Like, so the Edinburgh show was completely different material then.
Yeah. I think each Edinburgh show you want to do a whole new hour, a whole new thing, because I mean, otherwise, like, A, people have seen it properly, and B, you change. I think even in, you know, I mean, this year has shown us that more than ever, but even without COVID, I think every year you do change, and you want to talk about new things, and society changes and the world changes. So you should always want to write new stuff, because stuff that was relevant even in 2019 is now probably not relevant in 2020. It's always moving, and so I think you should move with it.
Yeah, and so where did you hire a room for the Edinburgh show? Where did you do that?
I did it at Just the Tonic, and yeah, basically we, you pay to use one of their rooms for the month, and they very kindly let you. Well, not very kindly, it's a transaction, but they let you use it, and you have people on the door and staff that kind of help with ticketing and things like that. And so we paid to use that, and then they take that money off your earnings in Edinburgh. Basically, that's how it works.
Before you make any profit, you got to pay off the hire of the room, and then on top of that, is it posters, PR?
Yes. So I mean, basically, you pay a certain amount up front. Like, I could be vague about it, I suppose. You pay about, sort of, depending on the venue, depending on if you go with the Pleasance, if you go with Just a Tonic, you might pay between like £400 or £1,000 up front. So that's kind of what you might pay, sort of. It might be even more for Pleasance. I've never done it, but you know, it's about that up front, and then they also will take another 400 / £1,000 off you during the run, because you're paying it back as you're earning it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it works for getting the venue. And then, you got to pay for posters, you got to pay for poster design, you got to pay for accommodation. We didn't get PR because I couldn't afford it, so I thought we'd just try and do our own stuff on social media, and it worked quite well. But yeah, you got to pay for so many different things. You got to pay for flyers, you got to pay for if you want people to help fly for you, you've got to pay for them. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's expensive.
and
It's really expensive. You know,
you've got
it's about like, you know, you can do it cheaply. The cheap kind of way of doing it is about £4,000 for a month, which once again, coming back to people on lower incomes, if you've got a job that pays you 10 grand a year, then finding £4,000 to spend in August is tough.
yeah, and also you're missing out a whole month of paid gigs elsewhere. So
Yeah.
so, so financially, it was really. So, and what kind of crowds were you getting?
No, it was nice. It was a really nice experience. It's the first time I've kind of had what feels like that classic experience of what Edinburgh should be, where it started out quite small and then it kind of grew and grew and grew and got bigger and bigger, and then it was selling out by the final week, which was really, really such a lovely feeling to be like, oh, we don't even have to fly today, it's sold out. Like, that was mad for me, really, considering that the first day we were, you know, scrapping and fighting to get, you know, 6 people in or whatever like that. So it was really nice to go, oh, it's actually built and momentum's actually grown, and and we actually made money. It's the first time I've done Edinburgh and we actually made a profit, which is lovely, because it would have been maybe like, I don't know, the 4th time I've been up as a comedian, and all the other time we've either, you know, lost money or it's been almost breaking even. But this was the first time it was like, oh no, we've actually got a bit of money in the bank for your month of working hard, which was really nice.
That's a really successful Edinburgh. Like,
no man, yeah, we were delighted with it. It was kind of it went as well as it possibly could have done. I think if you said to me what would you be happy with in terms of your Edinburgh, you know, I kind of had 3 goals. I kind of was like, okay, I want to sell out one day, I want to get at least a 4-star review, and I want to get, you know, some shows off the back of it. Like the dream venue to do was like the Soho Theatre, and then, you know, I was like, if I get one of them, I'll be happy. And we got all 3, so I was like, bloody hell, this is kind of you know, genuinely, like, there's I think it was a blog or something I wrote, like in, no, or maybe it was like a little podcast I did in like June, and they were the 3 things I said I wanted, and then to have them all, I was like, this is mad. This couldn't have gone better. So yeah, it was brilliant.
yeah, and your reviews are incredible. So, did you get an agent then on top of that, or from that, or had you an agent before that?
No, I didn't have an agent. I got an agent. Well, he tried to sign me in October, I think, and then we eventually signed in about February, just after the Soho run. We signed, and again, it's that thing where we had one meeting in March talking about these are the things we want to do this year, and it was really exciting. And it feels like I don't know, it's been a very weird year for me. It kind of, the first 3 months I was like, oh, we're going up and up, and then suddenly it's been you know, it's kind of, yeah, it's like I've gone from playing for England at Wembley, and now suddenly I'm just back in the reserves, and I can't really work out why. But I think a lot of people in this industry are like that. So
Yeah, I know. I was shite, like, but I mean, you'll be back at the same level when it.
well, I hope so. But there's part of me that, I mean, you know, I've still got things in the pipeline which I'm very, very lucky and very grateful for. But it's just the unknown, really. I'm very, very bad with when I don't know what's happening. When I like to know what at least some. I think a lot of people like to know at least a tiny bit of what's going to happen in the future. So it feels very weird for a lot of people. But again, I guess that's not just the industry; it's the whole world. That's everyone in the planet at the moment. So can't complain.
Well, particularly in the entertainment industry, yeah, bands, music, same thing, isn't it? But,
yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it's really really shit that so many people can't play gigs, and so many people can't do anything. It's yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I've been thinking about that a lot, and it's like I don't even. Not even. I mean, I'm missing it as a job. I'm missing the income. I'm missing all that stuff. But at the end of the day, you just miss being out there. You just miss the audience. You just miss the experience. You just miss how it feels. That's what I miss more than anything. Like if I could safely do, you know, 3 gigs a week for free, I would happily do it, and I'd be delighted. It's not. It's just shit, man. It's really shit. It's really shit.
Yeah, I didn't miss it for about 2 months, but then I started missing it. And then when I did do a gig, I thought, oh shit, yeah, it's amazing doing a gig.
Mm. I think everyone did have that there. We had a bit where it's like, oh, it's quite nice to have a break. It's quite nice to not be out at 1 a.m. most nights because you're traveling home from a gig or whatever. It's quite nice not to travel. I just sat at my home. It was quite nice. And then eventually you're like, oh God, I'm still here. Like, can I, can I go out and chat to some strangers and just, meet my friends and all that stuff?
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I had a real moment. The first gig I did back, I was just on stage and I was just like, because I said it out loud on stage. I was like, shit, I really missed this. Because, like, not only the idea of doing stand up, but just the idea of talking to strangers and, like, being able to talk to them about anything and go on a flight of fancy and talk about whatever you want. Because for months, I've not had that. Like, I can talk to my parents, or I can talk to the very small number of people I've been meeting up with, below 6, just to clarify. But we can't have that the same thing you can have where it's a whole audience and you're talking to them all when this person says something and that person says something and that person shouts or laughs weird. You can't recreate that, and it's yeah. I hope we never don't have it again for 6 months because it was just quite sad.
Oh man, yeah, it's unbelievable. Like, you can't recreate that on Zoom or online.
No,
It's just not the same thing. Did you
no,
find? Do you find that you can write stand up even though there are no gigs happening?
nowhere near as much as I would usually write. Like, literally, I wrote a tiny amount, but it would have been sort of probably 10% of what I'd usually write because
Mm.
you just don't have the drive to do it when I didn't feel like I could test it in front of an audience. And I thought, well, I could test some new material on a Zoom audience, but then part of me is like, yeah, but then you've got the shittest version of that material is online for probably for all eternity. And part of me is like, I don't know if I want that. I don't know if I want in 5 years people to be like, oh, that new material you did on that Zoom gig was shit. And I'm like, well, yeah, but because usually you wouldn't put that online because you're like, no,
No.
it's not refined, it's not at the right state to be. So it felt a bit weird that we had this putting out stuff that is, I mean, again, to have parallels of music, it would be like if you were releasing every single demo recording before you'd worked on it and just literally releasing the voice memo and putting it on Spotify. Like, you wouldn't do that. So I was like, well, why would we want the brand new material out there when it's rough and it's not refined?
Yeah, no, it'd be literally like releasing, yeah, the voice memo when you just thought of an idea, a riff or something.
Yeah.
But, and have you been doing that now? Do you do any, like, it's social media thing that, some comedians are really amazing at it. I just find it, I'm not sure.
Uh,
Um, how do you feel about it? As a
uh,
way of like doing bits of comedy or.
when your hair looks lovely, I feel like you're you're over worrying, mate. You look great. Don't worry about
All right, forget about
it.
it. uh,
But yeah, I kind of like I do stuff on Twitter and I've got a YouTube channel, but I'm not as big on them as probably I'd like to be, or probably as other people are. Like I feel like kind of on the sort of following, but there's other people who are up here and other people who are down here, and I'm kind of just there. Which yeah, I think a lot of people the last few months have kind of been a slap in the face, and we've had to go, oh no, you need to find more ways of monetizing your stuff online because again we've lost everything. Uh, so I think a lot of people, there's some people who've done incredibly well the past 6 months and basically made whole new careers for themselves online. And I'm like, Jesus, you've done really well there. That's amazing. But I mean, I think we've still got time to do that. I still will hopefully
yeah.
think of something
Well,
I want to do.
my problem with social media is that you can't. What people really what gets lots of hits is very short stuff that doesn't require any thinking.
Hmm.
The simpler the better. Like, but if you put it, like, I'd say if Monty Python were putting their sketches up initially on social media, I don't think anyone would watch them because they require too much effort.
No, I think you're right, man. I think I mean, there is definitely a kind of lean towards. I think people do have a shorter attention span nowadays than that they did 20 years ago. I mean, I think I have a shorter attention span now than I probably had 10 years ago because, like, it's really hard now for just to, it's mad. You can sit down and watch a DVD and you find yourself going, oh, what's this on my phone? It's like, why am I checking my phone? There's something on the telly. Why am I even doing that? And I just think maybe it's partly social media is kind of addictive, and partly people just there's so much online that if it doesn't grab you within 3 seconds, people just scroll. People just move.
I mean, that's how it's designed. It's designed to make you do that. It's fucking unbelievable. Person my age as well. Like, I'm as bad as anyone.
Yeah,
and I'm annoyed with myself.
no, I hate it. I think if I wasn't in this industry, I would get off it completely. Which again, I'm not advising everyone to do, because at the same time, we do need a fan base of people who aren't in the industry. But it's that thing where yeah, when you realise, you know, if you have that, I think a lot of people have that moment and you go, shit, what? I'm checking this every day, and I'm really, if there was like a little counter that showed you how much time you spent on each social media platform, I think that would really wake a lot of people up, because I think a lot of us would genuinely be like, oh crap, I'm literally spending 3 hours a day on this. And you think, I could do so much more. I could do so much different. I could read a book. I could watch a film. I could write something. But you're just reading and scrolling and trying to stand out and thinking the next tweet's going to be the one that makes it big and makes me a celebrity, or, you know, finally gets me that TV deal or whatever. And it's really dangerous. And also, again, it's completely random. It's sort of talking about the things that have to be really short. Like, you never know what's going to go viral. It could be a video you've worked for hours on, or it could just be a video of someone pretending to run away from a dog, and suddenly that's got 1 million hits. Like,
I know, it's fucking nuts. But anyway, I took the Facebook off my phone. That's my first step. Oh, and I'm trying not to use Google. So I'm trying. I love your gag actually about, is that, you said that I look like Mark Zuckerberg if Facebook didn't work.
yeah, Facebook had failed. Yeah.
That's fucking brilliant. I love that gag.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, listen, it's been great talking to you, but as you know, I don't know, I presume you've been told that on the Need2Know comedy show, we ask every comedian to recommend somebody who they would like to, well, they've seen and they recommend. So who would you like to recommend?
Does it have to be just one person? I kind of
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't have to be.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna say I'm gonna say a few people, because I can have people who are sort of at different levels. Um, I think Fatia El Ghori is very good. She's like on her way up. She's just done Jonathan Ross's comedy club, and she's very funny, and she's just very good sort of observational material about her experiences as a Muslim woman in the UK, and she's just great, and she's amazing. I think she'll, you know, probably be a millionaire soon. Probably, who knows? But she should be, because she's great. She's amazing. I would also say a comedian called Ashley Hayden, he's a political comedian in the UK, and he is not very well known because he doesn't try to be well known. He's not bothered about, you know, again, you talk about, you know, some people are really intent on growing their social media following, but I think he's got, you know, a couple of hundred Twitter followers, and he couldn't give a shit. He doesn't care. He just does it for him. But he's really, really, really funny. He's really good. So I'd say people should check him out, because he's not trying to build a fan base, I feel, but he deserves one despite his best efforts.
Right, yeah, okay, yeah. Brilliant. That's two great recommendations. Hopefully we can get them on. And it's been great talking to you, Tom.
Cheers, man. You too.
And enjoy the rest of the day. You can open your curtains now.
Yeah, I will do it. It's just because it looks really bad. It looks better for the lighting, you know.
Yeah. No,
This is me being professional, having the curtains closed, honestly.
absolutely. I appreciate that. Otherwise, the sun would have been in my eyes for the whole interview. So
No, we can't have that.
No. Right. It's been great talking to you, Tom.
You too, man.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Take care.